Slides here. Well, thank you everybody for coming out. Oh, the slides get loaded here. Yeah, Marco's right. So I hail from Silicon Valley. I grew up right in Palo Alto, California, and the team that came together around Terraformation is definitely all technical folks. And one of the key things that you learn in Silicon Valley is just brute pragmatism, right? Like you're trying to solve hard engineering problems, and so a lot of what I've heard at the conference so far has been just super inspirational. People working on incredible projects around forestry or biodiversity. People with these incredible hopes and opportunities that they want to bring to the world. And what Terraformation does is really try to connect the dots, right? Like how can we figure out how to scale these projects and kind of bridge over to geoscale. So Terraformation's mission is to really try to solve the hard problems of getting forests that work or nature-based carbon sequestration that's proven. But how do we do this at gigaton level scale? How do we do this at 3 billion acre kind of scale? And we've got some of the top scientists, top botanists, soil scientists, carbon scientists in the world publishing papers that say it's going to take 1 trillion trees to reabsorb gigatons of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. But getting to that kind of scale is crazy hard, right? So that's what Terraformation is really trying to figure out, is like how do we take this proven thing called a forest and scale it up. So in order to get there, Terraformation's done 3 years of research working with some of the very largest tree planting organizations in the world and starting some projects of our own, which I'll talk about in a second. But we've discovered that there's 4 key bottlenecks that are holding back the progress of forestry in the world. And we've started to offer solutions for them. So for example, one of the key bottlenecks is seed supply, right? If you're trying to plant 1 trillion trees all around the world, then you don't want to just do that all of one species. You don't want to carpet bomb the world with just eucalyptus or bamboo. Instead, you want to try to plant 1 trillion native or endemic trees that actually fit in and are co-adapted to the regions that those forests are going into. If you're trying to plant 1 trillion native trees, well, you need multiple trillions of native seeds. Well, do we have that much seed supply in the world? Turns out we don't. So Terraformation has started to construct and build these solar-powered off-grid seed banks, which can be deployed anywhere in the world to the field. We've deployed 19 of them so far and have collected over 32 million seeds in the last 18 months. The designs for this, right, are available for free. Everything that Terraformation does is open source. You can go to the website today and download the plans for this, or just look at the pictures and be inspired by it. Any project team around the world can do this on their own. It's not a crazy high-tech Silicon Valley thing. It's actually very low-tech, right? It's a shipping container with refrigerators and an air conditioning unit inside to maintain temperature and humidity, right? Super pragmatic. Another key thing, clicker. There we go. Another key shortfall that the world has is training and capacity building for forestry teams. There's just not enough trained foresters in the world. By some estimates, we think there's somewhere between 250,000 to 500,000 trained foresters in the world today. And we need tens of millions of people to pick up this really largely a vocational skill. It's not crazy hard to learn, but just takes some learning, takes some teaching to accomplish. And so we have developed and are offering courses on seed collection, seed banking, nursery management. These are just foundational skills for how to lay down the infrastructure of a forestry project, and we deliver trainings in 12 different countries now. Another key need for forestry teams is project tracking. So it's really straightforward, right? You need something better than a spreadsheet, something better than a notebook, right, to keep track of how many seeds you've got, how many seedlings you've got in a nursery, and how many trees have gone out for outplanting. So Terraformation has built this package called TerraWare. Again, it's a free open source piece of software. Anybody can come and download it from app stores for iPhone or Android, or download the source code from GitHub, make it your own. But using our software, projects using our software have planted over 1.1 million trees that are tracked, and are also tracking and mapping over 204 species of different native and endemic trees. All of this learning we've applied ourselves. Silicon Valley companies are very big on this thing called dog fooding, right? Eat your own dog food, as the saying goes, right? So we're not just telling the world to do this; we are doing it ourselves. We're actively working on the designs of our hardware and our software by executing projects ourselves. So we've started 17 projects all around the world. In countries like Peru and Ecuador, Uganda, Ukraine, Armenia, New Zealand, right? Really all over the place, trying to get as much experience as we just ourselves can in project origination. And we've created over 400 jobs in forestry over the last year and a half. So just by comparison, though, right? Like, because again, we're trying to get to 1 trillion trees, right? This is the objective for the world. So it's nice that Terraformation started 17 projects and has like planted 1 million trees and all that. But if you look at the rest of the world over the last 25 years, we have collectively, as a global society, we've started about 300 afforestation projects, like planting new trees where trees are not today, and that work has been done by about 181 different teams. I would posit to you that we are just so far off of where we need to be in these numbers. We need to be starting thousands of forestry projects, and we need to have tens of thousands of teams that are involved in this industry, this burgeoning industry of carbon forestry. So what's the gap? Like, why aren't we seeing more activity in this? One of the key things that Terraformation has discovered as we've gotten into this field is this funding gap. That if you already have things that corporate funders or financial institutions want to buy, things like carbon credits, if you already have a forest today and are ready to conserve it, or you've already got a bunch of trees that you've grown over the last decade and are ready to sell carbon credits, then great. There's billions of dollars, millions of dollars that are ready for carbon purchase deals. But if you're starting a brand new forest, which is actually what the world needs, right? If you're a brand new team and you're trying to get the ball rolling, you don't have commodities, you don't have carbon yet. You're in a quote unquote pre-verification phase of your forestry project. It's really hard actually to find funding, right? Banks won't fund you. It's really venture capitalists won't give you money. Hedge funds definitely won't give you money, and you don't have any carbon to sell. So it's really hard to get anything but philanthropic dollars or ESG donors to be able to support your new forestry project. So a really, really key unlock for the world is to actually get pre-verification forests to become investable assets. And that's one of the things that Terraformation has been working on a lot this year. So I'm here today to actually announce the Terraformation approach to making pre-verification projects investable. And we do that through 3 key steps, which I'll talk about next. First is diversification. Right? If you're trying to take a risky early stage asset, something that may or may not work, right? And any investor or wealth manager in the world will tell you this, right? If you're talking about something that doesn't have guaranteed return, then you should diversify your investments, right? So rather than invest in just one early stage project at a time, Terraformation's approach is to bundle together at least 10 early stage projects together in a portfolio and then collectively raise money for them as a group. So our approach is to again, leading with science, from the best of botanical knowledge, soil science and carbon science. We've identified the top priority areas of the world for reforestation projects, and we've put together cohorts of at least 10 teams in all these different areas that are now ready for investment. Second key approach is to stage out your investments. So anybody who's also done venture investing should be very familiar with this idea of don't like plow in millions and millions of dollars all at once into a brand new project. Instead, take some small dollars, take tens of thousands of dollars, see how this project does, monitor its performance. If it's making progress, then up the ante, right? Then move up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then ideally through progress through milestones and gate stages, ultimately get up to millions of dollars of investment. And so for Terraformation, we've identified some key stages that early stage forests need to go through. And we've been able to pair those stages together with appropriate dollar amounts to be able to move teams through those progress gates. And And third, this is actually super, super critical. This has actually been the key, I think, to unlocking many other investment asset classes. It's just transparency of metrics, right? Being able to quantify the progress that a team is making. And so for forestry teams, there really hasn't been a standard dashboard, like in an e-commerce company, if you were evaluating an investment in that. There's a standard funnel of like user acquisition, right, activation, retention, et cetera, that you would want to see metrics on from this company. For a forest, right, we need a standardized set of metrics for investors to be able to see how is this team doing. And it turns out life, just biology, the botany of trees gives us a very nice life cycle to track. How many seeds has the team collected? How many seedlings have germinated from those seeds? Of those seedlings, how many have survived? And then how many make it to outplanting, right? So there is this natural life cycle of metrics that can be tracked, and we've built TerraWare to be able to do that and then to show investors these dashboards that make it super transparent how a team is performing. And so by combining those three principles, right, diversification, phased or staged investment gates, and quantifying a team's progress, we're unlocking investment capacity into early stage forestry. So Terraformation's accelerator is launched now. We launched it earlier this year. We've got hundreds of teams that have applied from all around the world to be part of the accelerator, and $2 million of investment is enough funding to start 10 of those teams on their carbon forestry journey. And accelerator investors get a nice carbon return and write a first offer on the future carbon offtake of those companies. So that's Terraformation's approach to early stage forestry investing. My name is Yi. Again, thank you so much for your attention, and feel free to get in touch with me. I'm happy to talk about early stage forestry.
Wonderful.